Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm bringing you into a brand new chapter, one that's intense, emotional, and filled with suspense, in the love story of CEO James and Lai Tu Diep. This is a tale not only of heartbreaking losses, but also of unwavering resilience and unconditional love. After everything they've been through, from painful misunderstandings, long periods of separation, to a historic storm that nearly took James's life, it seemed like peace had finally found them. A small home in the quiet countryside, a blooming garden, the laughter of their beautiful daughter, warm family meals, and a couple deeply in love. It was the kind of happiness they had earned through sacrifice, tears, and near tragedy. But life is never simple for those who dare to love deeply. Just when James and Diep believed they could enjoy a quiet, ordinary life with their daughter, a dark and sinister force quietly crept into their world. An enemy from the shadows, someone who had never truly let them go, begins to weave a dangerous web to shatter the fragile happiness they had just begun to rebuild. This time, can James and Diep stand strong together? Do they have enough faith, courage, and unity to protect the home they've built from the ruins? Most importantly, can love once again prove to be the most powerful weapon against darkness? If you've ever cried for Diep's unbreakable love, if you've ever admired James's kind heart, then don't take your eyes off this story. What's coming next will be even more thrilling, heartbreaking, and unexpected than ever before. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss a single moment of James and Diep's fight to protect their family. Because sometimes the most beautiful things shine brightest only when they're surrounded by darkness. Morning in the countryside remained as gentle and serene as a lullaby sung by nature itself. The first light of day filtered through the leaves, streaming in through the wooden window frame and bathing the small room in a golden hue. Birds chirped joyfully in the garden, calling to one another as if to greet the new day, while the soft murmur of a brook flowing nearby added a soothing rhythm to the peaceful scene. James's little family started the morning just like any other. He, Diep, and their young daughter sat on the front porch, hands wrapped around warm cups of tea, chatting cheerfully. Occasionally, laughter rang out from the innocent, playful words of their child. These were moments that seemed simple, yet to James they were more precious than anything, the kind of dream he once thought he might never truly reach. But then, the phone rang, slicing through the tranquility like a cold, sharp blade. James glanced at the screen. It was his assistant calling. His brows furrowed as he answered, and within seconds his expression shifted to one of deep concern. On the other end, urgent news poured in. A major crisis was unfolding. Timber prices had suddenly skyrocketed, driven up by an unknown force. Supply chains were paralyzed. Production lines had come to a halt. The company teetered on the edge of shutdown, and they needed him, the man at the helm, to return immediately and take control. When the call ended, James sat in silence, eyes staring at the horizon where sunlight still danced across the grass. But in his gaze now were waves of anxiety, the weight of responsibility pressing heavily on his shoulders. Diep quietly approached and laid a gentle hand on his shoulder. She didn't need to ask. Just one look into James's eyes told her everything. They were the eyes of a man torn between two worlds, one calling for leadership and duty to hundreds of employees, and the other his newly rebuilt haven of peace, love, and family. "Go, my love," Dieppe said softly, her voice tender but unwavering. "No matter what happens, our daughter and I will always be right behind you." James turned to look at her, then at his daughter playing with flowers near the steps. In that moment, his heart swelled with emotion. He realized that no matter what storms lay ahead, he had something to return to. A place of peace, a steady anchor, love, and family. And so, after a long, heartfelt embrace, James set off. But this time, he didn't leave with empty hands or a heavy heart. He carried with him the unwavering belief and love of the two most important people in his life. That morning, James returned to the company in a completely different state of mind. Behind him was the sunlit porch, the laughter of his child, the gentle hand of his loving wife, and now, before him, stood a scene in stark contrast. The atmosphere in the company was so heavy, it felt like it could be sliced with a knife. Department heads rushed back and forth, phones rang nonstop, and panic was etched across every face. As James entered the meeting room, his assistant was already waiting, hands full of reports. His face pale, he said, "Mr. James, the situation is worse than we anticipated. The timber market has been manipulated. Transactions with major suppliers have all been suspended. If we can't find an alternative source within a week, contracts will be canceled, and we're looking at losses in the hundreds of billions." James clenched his fists, his eyes turning cold and sharp. He knew this was no coincidence. Someone was pulling the strings behind the scenes. Right at that moment, a strange man stepped into the room, claiming to represent a private company. He came bearing a so-called lifeline, 50 tons of high-quality timber priced 30% below market value, available for immediate delivery. Too convenient, too timely. But James wasn't quick to trust. He ordered a thorough check of all documents and requested material samples. Everything seemed legitimate on the surface. But deep in his gut, James felt something was off. In the shadows, a sinister plot was silently taking shape. Elsewhere, John and his father were carefully setting their revenge into motion, each playing their part in a ruthless plan. John's father, a seasoned manipulator of corporate warfare, was the mastermind behind the 50-ton timber deal. His true intent wasn't to sell timber, but to smuggle in flammable chemicals hidden within the shipment, staging a production accident that could cripple James's entire company and reputation. John, on the other hand, consumed entirely by hatred, aimed for something far crueler: James's heart, his family. Ever since James left the countryside to return to the city, John had dispatched men to secretly monitor Dieppe and her daughter. He knew their daily routines, their every move, even the quiet trail by the stream where the mother and daughter often went to play. And then, the most terrifying part of their plan was set in motion. That morning, as Dieppe watered the plants in their backyard, a car with an unfamiliar license plate pulled up in front of the gate. 3 men in police uniforms stepped out, faces serious and stern. "Ma'am, we're here under a warrant regarding a financial investigation involving your husband." Dieppe was stunned. The men produced official-looking documents, complete with red stamps and signatures. Though suspicion flickered in her mind, their professionalism was disarming, leaving her with no reason to resist. Little did she know, by the time she stepped into that car, everything was already too late. What will James choose? On one side is the company he has poured his heart and soul into building for over a decade, a place where hundreds of employees are depending on him to steer through the storm. On the other side is his family, the gentle wife and the little daughter who are now in grave danger, targeted by enemies lurking in the shadows. What will he be willing to sacrifice to protect what matters most? In a world where the truth is masked behind layers of deception, where enemies never play by the rules, can James bring the truth to light? Does justice still hold meaning when hearts have been blackened by hatred? And Dieppe, the woman who once overcame countless trials to be by James's side, now faces a new, terrifying challenge. Deceived, kidnapped, and thrown into a game she never knew she was part of. Can she hold on to her faith in James, in the love they've fought so hard to protect, in the face of life and death? As for the masterminds, John and his father, will they remain hidden in the shadows forever? Or will the light of justice one day expose their true faces to the world? The answer won't come easily, because this is not just a battle between good and evil. It's a battle of love, of trust, and of a life-altering choice between two paths, ambition or family. Don't miss the next chapter, where every secret begins to unravel, and where James will have to make the most important decision of his life.
Liệu James sẽ chọn điều gì? Một bên là công ty anh đã dốc cả tâm huyết để gây dựng suốt hơn một thập kỷ, nơi có hàng trăm con người đang chờ đợi anh trèo lái vượt qua dông bão. Một bên là gia đình, người vợ dịu dàng và đứa con gái bé bỏng đang rơi vào vòng nguy hiểm bởi chính những kẻ thù trong bóng tối. Anh sẽ đánh đổi điều gì để giữ lại điều gì quan trọng nhất trong thế giới mà sự thật bị che lấp bởi những mặt nạ, nơi mà kẻ thù không bao giờ chơi theo luật? Liệu James có thể đưa được chân tướng ra ánh sáng? Công lý còn có giá trị khi nào người đã nhốm nhem bởi hận thù. Còn Diệp, người phụ nữ đã từng vượt qua sóng gió để đến bên James, giờ đây lại phải đối mặt với thử thách khác, bị lừa dối, bị bắt cóc, bị đẩy vào một ván cờ mà cô không hề hay biết. Cô có thể giữ vững niềm tin vào James, vào tình yêu của họ giữa những giây phút sinh tử. Và kẻ đứng sau tất cả, cha con John, liệu có mãi mãi giống mình trong bóng tối, hay đến một lúc nào chính ánh sáng công lý sẽ lộ trần bộ mặt thật của họ trước cả thế giới? Câu trả lời sẽ không đơn giản, vì đây không chỉ là cuộc chiến giữa người tốt và kẻ xấu. Đây là cuộc chiến của tình yêu, lòng tin và sự lựa chọn sinh tử giữa hai con người, danh vọng và mái ấm. Đừng bỏ lỡ chương trình tiếp theo, nơi mọi bí mật dần hé lộ. James sẽ đưa ra quyết định quan trọng nhất trong cuộc đời của mình.